Admiral Raborn, in reading General Order number 21 on leadership, I see some terms that a naval officer of 50 or 25 years ago wouldn't have been concerned about. Terms like good management practices and management effectiveness. Now, as a leader in the creation of the Fleet Ballistic Missile System, could you tell me what is the relationship between management practices and naval leadership?
Well, I think that the term management practices and management effectiveness have more or less come into being in a naval wording of the last few years since we have had so many civilians to associate with in our common work in the Defense Department. This is essentially a civilian term. Leadership as such used to encompass management effectiveness, and I believe too that the complexity of modern weapons has come with an onrush following World War II, so that the necessity for good military management effectiveness in the development of these programs and for the selection and training of the personnel and to provide them to the fleet in a timely way is a very appropriate term.
And anyone who aspires to very top leadership in the U.S. Navy these days, I presume, would have to know as much about management as almost any industrial leader would.
Well, I think we certainly will have to not only just speak the language, we must be able to carry our weight in our responsibilities.
Well, Admiral, has the Navy pioneered in the creation of new methods of managing development programs?
We'd like to think we have. Certainly, many of the techniques which was developed in the Navy's Polaris program have been widely copied by not only other military services, but also industry in general. I am sure that it will come as a surprise to a lot of people that some of our techniques are taught in Harvard Business School. One of these, which seems to have become quite popular, not only in civilian life but also in the military, is what is called PERT, P-E-R-T, which is Program Evaluation Review Technique. Essentially, it's a technique which we had to bring into being in order to handle the multitude of essential facts and related incidents which made the program as a whole.
Could you tell me more exactly what it is and what it has achieved?
Well, we think that we give this technique large share of the credit for bringing the Polaris program along some 3 years ahead of schedule. Essentially, it causes persons to think out their job in far greater detail than they would normally do or normally feel required to do. And these details are then put into a computer, which allows the synthesization of the information into usable bits so that a manager can use effectively. If all of these details were just dumped into his lap without being rationalized by a computer, they would be just overwhelming. He couldn't possibly get around them and use them effectively.
Does it have any economic consequences? Can it save money?
Well, yes, we're quite sure it does, because the more that you know about the nature of your problem and the things that have to be done, many of them concurrently, certainly you're going to do a better job, because knowledge is power. Also, it helps you to forecast the troubles, forecasts better and easier ways to do things in the job that you have in hand. And all of these things certainly will allow you to save money.
Now, PERT was created in the Navy. Do you think it has an application for other departments?
Oh, yes. All of the military, as well as NASA and many of the other executive departments of the government, are using PERT in one form or another, or in one project or another. Essentially, where a job is complex, no matter what it is, this allows you to draw together and rationalize these facts so that you may use them intelligently. It's just a tool, actually.
Well, I suggested to you a while ago that 50 or 25 years ago, a naval officer didn't have to worry about really industrial management. What about the future, not the past? Will it play a larger role in the future?
Yes, sir. We are certainly aware that the fast pace of technology, the things which technology can put in our hand, provided we can intelligently make use of it, lays a premium on good management. And we certainly, in the Navy as well as in the other military services and in business in general, are quite aware to the new techniques which are now at hand.
I wonder if you could tell me some specific ways in which an officer might increase his management effectiveness.
Well, I think one of the first things is to have a mind that's not set in concrete. A lot of us, when we get, the older we get, the more convinced that we have quite a few of the answers. Unfortunately, this just seems to be generally true in the human race. I think to have an open mind is most important, to realize that there are improvements in management as there are improvements in every other art and every other field of science, and indeed just about everything we do. This is important, to be able to embrace new ideas and to critically examine your own performance as well as the needs of the job which is placed in your hands. Then I think you'll be in a position to intelligently use whatever is available and can be made available for you to do a better job.
I'm glad to hear that you get more answers as you go along. I remember Mark Twain said that when he was a boy, his father was pretty stupid, but when he grew up, his father knew more and more.
Yes, that's true.
Admiral, what advice on the subject of leadership would you give to a young man just starting his naval career?
I think one of the most important things that a person has to learn, no matter whether he's in the military service or in industry, or wherever he is that he can't do everything himself. He can only provide general guidance, he can provide the incentive, he can provide a good example. But it's really people working together in good cooperation, in a cooperative manner, that do things. We do things with people, and it's really stimulating them to do their best jobs and giving them wise guidance so that they may do their job intelligently is the very heart and soul of good leadership or good management.
Well, thank you very much, Admiral Raborn.
Yes, sir.